Thank you to the welcome to the press conference following the second day of the European Council. Welcome and thank you for joining us. I see there are a lot of people already raising a hand, but I'll first give the floor to the President of the European Council.
Merci. Bonjour à chacune et à chacun. Nous venons de clôturer le Conseil européen avec, vous le savez, un menu intense à notre agenda. Hier, nous avons longuement débattu des questions internationales avec la capacité de démontrer une fois encore, c'est important, notre unité sur des sujets qui sont difficiles, qui sont stratégiques, qui sont importants pour l'avenir. Et aujourd'hui, nous avons eu l'occasion d'aborder d'autres thèmes. D'abord, le premier thème, the first topic that we addressed today is the coordination related to the COVID-19 crisis. You know that our goal is to limit the spread of the virus. It means it is important to make more progress between the member states with the support of the Commission, with the support of the rotating presidency, and we have worked a lot the recent weeks, the recent days as well on that. We took the decision to strengthen our coordination, our cooperation on the basis of the concrete proposals put on the table by the Commission and with the involvement of the rotating presidency. And we took also the decision to make more efforts in order to work together in the perspective of the vaccines. The Commission had the occasion to explain with details what we are trying to do together as a European Union in order to be able, when vaccines will be available, to make sure that it will be possible for the different member states in Europe, but also for our partners to have access to those vaccines, which in our opinion should be considered as a common good. It was a long, substantive discussion, and we agreed that we will have the occasion during our next European Councils to come back again on this very important topic. This is one first point. Another important point, I had the occasion this morning to present to the colleagues the leaders' agenda for the next months. I think it's very important to have a clear vision about what are the strategic topics that we will discuss at the level of the European Council between today and June next year. This is a concrete proposal that I put on the table, knowing that this agenda will be flexible based on the circumstances. Probably we will adapt our way of working, and I intend to continue to try to develop a strong preparation for each European Council. We have experienced the last months smaller formats, smaller video conference in preparation of some difficult topics. We used these two smaller formats, for example, in order to prepare our position regarding China. We did the same regarding Turkey in the Eastern Mediterranean. We think it's an effective approach in order to be certain that we have a space for real interactivity, political interactivity among the leaders. Then today we agreed formally our conclusions on the digital and single market. This is a very strong signal. This is a very important step that we are making today. Vous le savez, nous avons l'ambition de considérer que naturellement l'Union européenne est totalement mobilisée en faveur d'une économie ouverte. Nous croyons dans les vertus du libre échange et nous croyons dans le même temps que l'Union européenne doit être plus résiliente, plus en mesure de développer des priorités, plus en mesure d'affirmer sa capacité à être dans des secteurs stratégiques moins dépendants que nous le sommes parfois. C'est ce que nous avons constaté de manière parfois douloureuse dans le cadre de la crise du Covid-19. Et en cela, les conclusions approuvées ce matin sont un signal fort que nous envoyons, puisqu'il y a là une capacité de développer des priorités très concrètes pour la souveraineté digitale, pour renforcer nos capacités et nos renforcements sur le plan du marché intérieur. Et chacun comprend que nous ne voulons pas simplement réparer le marché intérieur, mais travailler pour faire mieux fonctionner le marché intérieur et faire en sorte que ce grand atout qui rassemble les Européens puisse continuer à être développé au service de notre projet, au service de nos valeurs. Et je voudrais vraiment remercier très sincèrement la Commission pour le travail remarquable qui a été mené en coopération coopération avec les États membres afin d'être en mesure d'agréer sur des propositions qui sont concrètes, qui sont ambitieuses et qui fixent un cap stratégique extrêmement clair pour l'Union européenne tout au long des prochaines années. Nous avons beaucoup travaillé les derniers mois sur l'agenda digital, la grande transition pour laquelle nous sommes mobilisés grâce au European Green Deal présenté très rapidement par Ursula von der Leyen quand elle a pris ses fonctions. Nous avons aujourd'hui, avec ce message qui est adressé, un cap très fort qui est adressé aussi pour l'autre grande transition digitale. Et vous savez qu'il y a des liens très étroits entre les deux transitions. Enfin, deux derniers points. We had a short update about the negotiations, the ongoing process of negotiations with the European Parliament in order to implement what we have decided in July, the MFF, the own resources and the recovery fund. We will have the occasion in the next days to be involved in order to try to make progress. We know that there are some difficult topics between the member states and with the European Parliament that we need to solve. We know that our agreement in July was a political package, and it's very essential to be able, as soon as possible, to deliver, to implement what we have decided. It's a question of credibility, and I feel a strong political will to make progress and to be able to implement the MFF and the recovery fund, but we'll continue to work very hard in order to reach this goal. And finally, just one word about Brexit. Just an information session. We had the occasion to have an update by Ursula and also an analysis by the Irish Prime Minister, but we didn't open the debate today because you know that we'll have the occasion in October during our next meeting to have a more substantial exchange of views, and we will take into consideration the possible developments between today and the next European Council. We trust the Commission, we trust Michel Barnier, we have a clear European position, we are united, we are very calm, we have expressed very clearly the last weeks what we think about the current situation, and we will have the occasion in October to tackle this important topic. Thank you. Vous voyez, il y a beaucoup de points substantiels qui ont été abordés dans cette réunion. Nous avons un agenda qui est intense sur le plan politique à l'échelle du Conseil européen, et cette réunion fut encore l'occasion de faire fonctionner ce que j'appelle moi la magie européenne. Les sujets sont difficiles, les sujets sont complexes, ils sont stratégiques, mais cette volonté de dialogue, cette volonté de débat, d'aller au fond des choses nous permet d'avancer, nous permet de progresser. C'est en tout cas la manière dont je veux envisager cette ambition européenne. Merci.
Thank you. You have the floor, Madam President.
Merci. Thank you very much. It was very good that the leaders decided to devote time to our collective response to the COVID pandemic. The epidemiological situation is worrying, so we must stay very focused to avoid a return to the dire situation we experienced last spring. And we can only overcome both the pandemic and its consequences if we work together, member states and EU institutions. And therefore this debate was very deep diving, and three things from this debate stand out. First of all, progress on vaccines is the key to a long-term solution to this crisis. We are making good progress. The Commission has already concluded 2 advanced purchase agreements, and it is negotiating 5 more. And we are in discussions with 4 more companies. So this is on a good track, because through these advanced purchase agreements, we are investing in production capacities right now to ensure that the access to the vaccines is there for the European citizens. So ramping up the production lines, buying now raw material and all the necessary ingredients that you need to ramp up then the production once we have the vaccine. The second point is the vaccine strategy. Whom to vaccinate first? The Commission has put forward a blueprint for a vaccine plan before the summer break, and good news is that it has been adopted now with the Health Security Committee, so we can move on with Council recommendation based on this blueprint. And thirdly, we discussed that we must do a better job in coordinating our assessment and the measures to be taken across member states. In short, this is, I would call it the color code. So what does it mean if a region is red or orange or green? And what are the common rules for that? Weeks ago, we tabled a proposal for a council recommendations on this, and I urged the member states to find an agreement on it now because it increases transparency and clarity for the European people to know how to move on in different regions of Europe. The other topic are the Council conclusions on the single market and the digital. 3 pillars stand out here, 3 pillars of competitiveness and indeed prosperity. First of all, a well-functioning single market is crucial for us. We should remember that trade between member states amounts to roughly 25% of GDP and that 60 million jobs depend on it. Second, a competitive industry. Industry provides 37 million jobs in the European Union and 2/3 of our exports. And of course, thirdly, the need for a successful digital transition. Discussions on how to improve the functioning of the single markets have been ongoing for years. The issues are well known. 2 stand out in particular. First of all, remaining barriers, notably in the area of services. And second, problems with implementation that deprive companies from the benefits of a large and deep market, which is our wealth, the source of our wealth. To accelerate the pace in this area, the Commission will present a first monitoring report early next year. And then we will build on this to work concretely with member states and stakeholders to resolve the problems companies face on a daily basis. With regards to industry, the priority is to join forces in key strategic areas and ensure our industry can compete on a global scale. As you know, we presented our new industry strategy in March to ensure industry can lead the twin green and digital transition. Clearly, the last 6 months have accelerated the transformation and changed a lot. Supply chains have been disrupted. The lack of production facilities in the European Union for certain critical products became an issue. Remote digital working methods became the norm for millions of workers. So to take all this into account, we will update the industry strategy in the first half of the next year. It will be an opportunity to take stock of where we are with industrial alliances for key technologies, such as batteries, microelectronics or hydrogen, and efforts to improve our resilience, such as on raw materials. But of course, for our work on these alliances to bear fruit, we need to ensure a proper level playing field. In this respect, 2 priorities stand out. First of all, we are carrying out a comprehensive review on how to adapt EU competition rules. We need to make them fit for purpose in a globalized and digital world. And secondly, we are working at full speed on legislative proposals on foreign subsidies from third countries. We know that these foreign subsidies from third countries can significantly distort the functioning of our single market and disadvantage EU market operators. Finally, on the digital transition, Europe clearly needs to up its game. As I said last week in the European Parliament, we must make this Europe's digital decade. There are 3 priorities. The first one is data. We need to play our strength in the area of industrial data. The quality of this data and the quantity will quadruple in the next 5 years. And we need to enable companies to harness this potential. At the moment, being 80% of these industrial data are never used once. So we will work on 2 strengths to have the access for European companies, European universities, researchers to these industrial data in Europe. We will create common data spaces in which researchers, universities and companies can access and collaborate, for example, in the energy or healthcare sector, to help unlock these hidden data. And second, building a European cloud as part of Next Generation EU based on Gaia-X. The second pillar in the digital decade is artificial intelligence with a tremendous potential, but it needs rules to ensure proper use and oversight. So the Commission will propose a law to this effect next year. And we also aim to soon propose a secure European digital identity, because we think that you should be able to do many things on the digital, in the digital topic here in Europe with your European identity, from paying taxes to renting a car, you name it. And the third topic is the infrastructure, proper data connections. We should not forget that if we focus on the 40% of people who live in rural areas who do still not have access to fast broadband, that here we have to step up and improve. It's a question of equal opportunity. And this is why we will focus our investments on secure connectivity, on the expansion of 5G, 6G and fiber. And therefore, we will push forward this digital decade while investing 20% of Next Generation EU on the digital, because it's about Europe's digital sovereignty. We have to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We will take a couple of questions. Switch on your cameras, please, if you want to ask a question to one of the presidents. I'll first start with Lily Bayer from Politico. Lily, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I have a question that goes to both presidents. The question is, both Poland and Hungary have indicated that if the proposed rule of law mechanism to link the distribution of EU funding to rule of law criteria is not concluded to their liking, they will block the own resources decision, which is needed in order for the recovery fund to become operational. So my question for you today is, did this come up in discussions with leaders? Do you have a plan B, or how do you plan on convincing Poland and Hungary to come on board? Thank you.
Yes, we had a very short discussion on this topic because it was important for us to listen to the update presented by the German president of the Council, by Angela Merkel. And it's not a secret, it's not a surprise. We know that it's key to implement as soon as possible what we have decided in July. And we know that the question of rule of law is a difficult topic. It was in July a difficult topic. It was a sensitive topic, but in July we took the decision to make the conditionality with the governance and with the creation of a rule of law. And then we will continue in the next days to work very hard with the member states, but also with the European Parliament on this topic. I know that it will be a difficult decision, it will be a difficult debate, but I think and I hope that we will have together all the member states with the members of the European Parliament that will have the common political will in order to find a solution, because it's very important for the European future to be able to ratify as soon as possible in the national parliaments, but also to get the agreement of the European Parliament.
I can be very brief indeed. It was a report of the German presidency on, I would call it, the state of negotiations with the European Parliament at the moment being. These negotiations are ongoing. Charles Michel has mentioned all the different and difficult issues. There was no in-depth discussion because it is work in progress, and when there is a result to be debated, then this will be the time to go in-depth.
Thank you. Raf Kazert, please, you're next.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I have a question for each president. And first for President von der Leyen, I just wondered, you will meet Boris Johnson tomorrow, a video conference with him. And I just want to know what's going to be the most important thing. Will you address specifically the internal market bill first and foremost, or will you start negotiating, looking where we can go on the free trade talks? And I would also like to know what your assessment, your latest assessment is on the progress that we now have seen so far. And then I have a question for Council President Michel, and it's about US President Trump, who has tested positive for COVID. And I just wondered what lessons we can draw from this on how we should deal with the pandemic. Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes, thank you. Indeed, there are two work strands at the moment being. The one is the implementation of the withdrawal agreement. And as you know, the draft internal market bill is heavily contradicting some of the provisions in this withdrawal agreement, mainly when it comes to the protocol of Northern Ireland. And as you know, we asked the UK government to withdraw this within a month. This didn't take place, so we launched an infringement procedure. This is going its way. The infringement process is part of the dispute settlement of the withdrawal agreement. And the second strand, indeed, are the overall negotiations. And my phone call tomorrow, actually it's going to be a video conference with Boris Johnson, will serve to take stock of the negotiations at that time and to have a look at the time coming up. I will then report to Council. In sum, your third part of the questions, we want a deal because we think it is better to have a deal as neighbours. Also on top, in these COVID times with devastating impact on the economies, it is good to have a deal, but not at any price. And mainly the topic of the level playing field. How can we make sure that it exists between both economies? And the question of fisheries are very difficult, so we will see how we'll progress on that.
Yes, about Donald Trump tested positive. Of course, we all wish him a speedy recovery. But of course, I will not personally. I will not give a health advice.
We have another question now for Gavin Lee from BBC News. Gavin, hi.
Hello, both. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please state your question.
First, for both of you, could you just explain a little why President Lukashenko wasn't included in the sanctions, given that the UK and Canada believe that this was a point to include him in sanctions? And a second brief follow-up question on Brexit. On the EU-UK trade deal, I know we've heard about your conversation with Boris Johnson tomorrow, President von der Leyen, but could you also give a sense, the UK side are still saying they can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Can you see a light at the end of the tunnel on talks?
Maybe about the sanctions on Belarus. We took the decision to implement, and today it's done. Like I announced yesterday, today it's done. We implemented the sanctions. We have a list with 14 names, and you know that in Europe there is a clear process in order to prepare the list, what we did. There was indeed a debate on Lukashenko on the list or not, and we took the decision after the debate to follow the list proposed at the ministerial level, but of course we will follow closely the situation, and you know that we are in favor of an inclusive dialogue on Belarus and in Belarus, and we hope that it will be possible for the OSCE to play a real and efficient role in order to improve the situation.
So on the UK question, we have in German a saying that goes, wo ein Wille ist, da ist ein Weg, and translated it's more or less, where there is a will, there is a way. And we should not forget that we have made progress on many, many different fields, but of course the most difficult ones are still completely open. And this is mainly also the question of the level playing field, because this is the question of fairness. So if you want full access to the single market, you have to a certain amount abide to the rules that are the fairness rules within the single market. And questions like state aid, for example, are questions of fairness and of competitiveness, advantages that you give to companies or not. And there are rules that have to be worked out. We also would have to work on a mechanism where over time, when things change, there's an alignment, and if there are problems and difficulties, there must be a dispute settlement mechanism. So you see from my words, there's still a lot of work to do, but it is, as I say, a matter of fairness. And if you want to have the full access to the single market, these fairness rules must apply. Therefore, this is so difficult. But overall, where there is a will, there is a way. So I think we should intensify the negotiations because it's worth working hard on it. A second point on the withdrawal agreement, as it is, it can be implemented. And I call again on everybody to really work hard to implement it. It is so important to have this clarified. We have the whole text. We have the possibilities now to sort out the difficulties on the island of Ireland and in good faith keeping the Good Friday Agreement. This is very important. This can be done too.
We'll take a last question now from Sam Flenging from the FT. Sam, are you with us?
I am. Thanks very much. I'm afraid a follow-up on Brexit again. Madam von der Leyen, you mentioned the idea of the need to intensify negotiations. Does that imply that you do see the prospect of now entering a negotiating tunnel or going sous-marine in order to reach the possibility of that deal? And I wonder just more broadly, what are the key things you'll be asking Boris Johnson when you speak to him? What do you want to hear from him? I mean, do you believe that the UK government is united in actually wanting a trade deal? Thank you.
So I don't like the term tunnel, to be honest, because it's a word association. So intensify is we're running out of time. It's, I think, around 100 days till the end of the year. So it's worth to step up now. As always in these VCs or telephone calls, I go in them in an open mind. We want to take stock and we want to exchange positions. So I will not communicate to Boris Johnson beforehand via media what my expectations are.
Thank you. And this concludes our press conference of today. May I remind you that the leaders' agenda, which was proposed by the President of the European Council, is on our website, so please consult that now. Thanks a lot and see you soon.
Voila.